So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We just arrived this evening, maybe 20 minutes ago, back to New Jersey. And I find myself with my crew in the home of my daughter, Mackenzie, and her new fiance, Michael Scotti Jr. So some of you may remember Michael. He was on one of our earlier episodes in season 1.
One of the first.
Yep, one of the first. And I interviewed him about his passion for
film and video post-production.
right, post-production, and you're an editor. Mm-hmm. Now, Mike, what did we talk about back then?
Gosh, I wish I reviewed. So at that point, I think I had just been at the MLB for a few months.
A brief period of time, maybe 6 months at that time.
So it was all still really new. So at that time, I just recently started at Major League Baseball Network as a junior video editor, finish editor for their broadcast content. And we had talked about the journey leading up to that job and kind of the fears that I had to overcome and my own personal ladders that I had to climb before, that led me to that job.
Because, Mike, the thing with you, and I remember this so clearly, you and Mackenzie were together a short period of time at this point, and you were really trying to discover the direction you wanted to go at the time. But editing was your thing, but you just kind of weren't sure how to go about it. And then somebody who worked for the MLB suggested that you apply because they needed a position and thought you'd be good for it, and you almost did not apply. Why? Because you were afraid of what?
Failure. I was afraid of failure. I was afraid that I didn't have enough experience for the job based on their explanation of it, but also based on like the way that I was sort of kind of like envisioning my own the place, like where I was. I thought that I wasn't as far along as I learned I was at the time.
Right, that you didn't have the skill you needed.
Yeah.
And that this was a conversation, I actually had you'll love this. I had this conversation yesterday in Boston in the bar Cheers, where Cheers was filmed.
Yeah, everyone knows your name.
Right, so there were 3 women sitting next to me, all went to law school together. And we were talking, and basically they were saying the same thing that you and I were talking about, which is that we all have that imposter syndrome. You feel like a fake, you feel like a fraud. And I really felt that coming from you then, because you were kind of like, well, what if I get the job but I can't handle it? Like, I don't have the skills. Mm-hmm. And what did we say? Let them what?
Let them decide.
Right, let them tell you no. And I thought that was so huge. And I just want to say I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Because
you always keep your chin in the game. And you're not afraid to take a hit. Mm-hmm. And you bounce back.
It could be hard. It could suck sometimes.
Well, yeah, but you bounce right back, Mike, because the next thing I know, you take it, you're not happy about it, you might get upset about something, but the next thing I know, a couple days later, you're at it again. Yeah.
I mean, I sort of pride myself on being open-minded about what I want to do in life, so, even if it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. And some are more success stories than others, and and some are absolute complete failures. But you learn from it. It's always a learning experience, no matter what happens.
Exactly, and you get used to getting knocked down and getting back up, right?
Almost too used to it.
But then you get hired. You got the job. You were shocked that you got the job.
Yep,
that's true. Not long later, though, you got promoted.
Yep, about 7 or 8 months later.
That's
maybe less. They had said that usually it takes about a year to get promoted, and I started in late March, and I think by August I was promoted to a regular editor versus junior, because they want to see that you have the skills to it's still a trial period. I mean, you're technically always in trial there. It's because they need to make sure that you're capable of doing the job.
So you got promoted.
Yep.
And Mike, what did you call to tell me when I was in Indiana?
So our team had won. We'd won an Emmy, A sports Emmy.
You have trouble getting that out. You crack me up.
I don't talk about it.
You have
I wish I had it to like stand right here.
You have an Emmy coming with your name on it.
I have a sports Emmy.
You have an Emmy for Outstanding Daily Show.
Outstanding Daily Show, Outstanding Studio Show Daily with an associate producer credit. They don't like, you can't be on the ticket without like as an editor credit, so they give you an associate producer credit. And you know, there's like 50 people on that list. I mean, there's plenty of people that work on the show, but we won for the year, and so we all get our own individual statues or statuettes with our names on them, and which is so cool. And I'm hoping to get mine in 2 months, maybe 3.
It's just crazy, you know, because you have this kid who thinks he's too young, who he thinks he doesn't have the skill. He almost lets his own fear stop him from even trying, but he doesn't, puts his chin in the game, gets hired, quickly after gets promoted, and now has an Emmy with his name coming, which by the time this episode airs, we will have a picture of you with that to accompany.
Perfect.
What, Mike, would you say to other people who are experiencing those fears that kind of paralyze them or prevent them from getting their chin in the game?
I would tell them that even just taking a small step toward those goals and whatever that means for them, because you know, small is a subjective thing. So whatever steps that they feel like they can take on their own, like without anybody else pushing them, I think is the best thing that they can do, because they need to start their own journey, and they need to just try just a little bit at a time, and that faking it is okay, just a little bit, because you'll know when you're not anymore. I mean, you know, it's okay to feel like you're halfway there and still try anyway, because, I mean, you know, the first like 6 to 8 months I would walk in with like to work at MLB with like a really nervous feeling that today's the day that something's going to come down the line and I'm not going to be able to do it, and they're not going to ask me back the next day. And you know, and some days like things were like pretty tight, like there was like 60 seconds left to get something to air, or you know, the producer asks for something high level and I say, yeah, I could definitely do that, and they walk out, and then I'm like Googling how to do it, and eventually, you know, maybe the day, you know, at the beginning, maybe the day was like mostly things that I couldn't do, and then it slowly shifts and shifts and shifts. And I mean, I've been there maybe like I guess a year and like a year and 6 or 7 months now, and I'm like, I am where I feel like I should have been when I started, but that's okay, because I at least got this far, and you know, to the point where I'm like kind of surprised by the things that I'm producing for them, that I'm not just struggling to get through the work, but I'm actually like thriving at what I'm doing. And you know, it's awesome to feel, you know, I'm like leaving with like a feeling of satisfaction. So I guess my point is that to just try to break down your own wall, and to just, even if it feels weird and like against the grain, that it's all progress, and it's all progress, anything you do.
I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
And I talk to you, 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 and we love, and we hate, and we demonstrate, we try to relate. This is my breakthrough.